Hi, and welcome to the Love Learns podcast. My name is Dionne Zara, just your average girl wishing to learn more about love and relationships. As a young girl, I always dreamt about my wedding day, and to be fair, I still do sometimes. With many couples around me, I quickly came to realize love isn't as straightforward as the movies make out. So I thought I would have conversations with couples who made it past happily ever after to learn more about love. And when I say love, I don't mean like the movies and fairy tales, but I mean LOVE, learning to be open, vulnerable, and empathetic. So if you're ready to learn, unlearn, and discover love through couples, you're in the right place. Hi, and welcome to the Love Learns podcast. Today we have Danny and Jackie, who are recent friends, I should say, that I just recently met, who are going to be sharing their love story and how they met and everything, and give us a bit more about their love journey. Hi, Danny and Jackie.
Hi, Dionne. Hi, Dionne. Nice.
How are you guys?
Yeah, we're good, thank you. All good.
Good.
So very chilled and ready to go.
Good. That's what I like to hear. If we could start off with just how you guys met, and yeah, let's start from there, and then we'll see where the conversation takes us.
Okay. Well, we've been married for 28 years this year, and together 29. And we met 29 years ago when I was selling Bupa, and Bupa Healthcare to small businesses. And my telephone lady had made an appointment with Daniel's younger brother. I went to see him. He was busy at the time, so he said, can we make another appointment? So believe it or not, I'd actually gone over to Southeast London to see his younger brother, when in actual fact, they only lived around the corner from me at the time. So made an appointment on a Friday night, and I go in, I meet Danny's mum, Sandra, and Stephen again. I sit down, and then Daniel walks through the door with a newspaper under his arm, so we all know where it'd been. And it was just love at first sight. It was amazing.
Okay, so can I now say so we'll do it from each one's point of view. So at the time I was in retail fashion. I had a couple of retail outlets, and my brother worked in one and I worked in the other. And my brother, at the time we were doing not so bad, we were thinking about private medical care. A phone call comes into my brother's retail unit, and he answers the phone, and it's a cold caller, not Jackie, someone who called on behalf of the company, sets up the appointment with my now wife, and she comes to visit my brother in the shop. I'm nowhere near, so I have no idea. And on the day she comes, my brother's far too busy to talk to her, and he says, look, why don't you come over to where we live? She says, where do you live? And it turns out we live close by. So that was the beginning of it. On the Friday, we're driving home from work, and suddenly my brother goes, oh, am I allowed to swear on the podcast?
Yeah.
No. He goes, I said, oh my God. He goes, I've just remembered, we've got that lady coming over. It's about the Bupa Healthcare. Oh, I can't be bothered, he says. Shall I cancel her? I said, no, look, she's made the effort. You can't, you've had her in the shop once and she sent her away. It's not fair. Let her come over. So that's how it all started. So there we go. And at this point, my wife comes to my mum's house, which I'm back living there after a failed relationship, which I'd had a bad relationship. So I was back home probably for about a year. And anyway, so Jackie now comes to the house. I'm upstairs with my newspaper, and the doorbell rings. Jackie comes in, meets my mum first with my brother. That's novel. You meet the mother-in-law first. Anyway, Jackie sits down, and then I do my presentation, and they sign the deal and everything for the family. And Daniel goes, "Oh, can I?" We're teasing. Oh, he's teasing me. Go on then. All right. So I come downstairs. And I walk into, we had like this big knock-through lounge. So it was like a house with two separate rooms that had been knocked through. There's one big lounge. And sitting at the table is my mum, my brother, and I see this young lady, and I just look at her and I thought, oh my God, she's gorgeous. That's exactly what I thought. And she starts talking about Bupa healthcare, how wonderful it is, private medical care. And all I'm thinking is, how can I ask this girl out? That's all that's going through my head. And I remember this. It's not just something I've imagined afterwards. Anyway, so chat. And at some point, my mum says, would you like a cup of tea? Very English thing to do, isn't it? Have a cup of tea. So Jackie says, yeah, that would be lovely. And at that point, my brother says, I'm just popping upstairs. And my mum goes into the kitchen to make the tea. And I'm suddenly left on my own with Jackie. And I say to Jackie, I hope you don't mind, but are you married? And she said, no. I said, oh, how would you feel if I asked for your number? I'd like to take you out for a drink. And she says, my number is on my card. And as she says that, my mum walks in with 2 cups of tea. Puts the tea, and that's that. And then from that point, so I've asked for your number and you say it's on the card. So you carry on selling the Bupa.
Yeah, they sign up.
We signed up. We were a bit richer in them days. We're now skint, may I tell you.
But your mum's cup of tea was the hottest cup of tea I've ever had. This tea never cooled down. So I'm trying to drink the tea because I'm starting to blush. But yeah, I've just got this feeling about this guy. It's just really strange. So we finish the appointment, and I go back to my car and I put my hands on the steering wheel and just something, you're going to marry this guy. Oh, wow. It's really weird. Really weird.
So from my point of view, Jackie leaves the house and my brother and I, we say, thank you very much. She goes out the house, close the door. And I say to my brother, I say, you're not going to believe that. I just chatted her up. He said, what are you talking about? I said, I just asked for a number. I said, I'll take her. He goes, you're mad. He goes, you're absolutely mad. How can you do that? I said, I just did. Anyway, so that was it. That was the Friday night.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to carry on with my part of the story.
Cool, then.
And then you can tell your next bit.
Okay.
Saturday morning comes. I go into my place of work. And it was just before mobile phones had kicked in. We're talking nearly 30 years ago. They were there, mobile phones, but they were like almost like the bricks. It was just after the bricks, but not small enough to have them constantly with you or in your pocket. So I phone on this landline number and I go, hi, this is the guy from last night. If you'd like to come out for that drink, I'd love to hear from you. And I leave my phone number. The whole day goes by and I'm gutted. The phone does not ring. I can't believe it. And I'm starting to think, oh, I made a fool of myself. Maybe she didn't like me. What a silly thing I've done. Anyway, the day comes towards the end, 5 o'clock. And in them days, I had big, heavy shutters on the front of my shop. All my staff leave. All my staff, three guys, they leave the business shop. And I pull the heavy shutters down. I close the front door. I go to the back of the shop and get all my stuff together. I come to the front. I put the key in the alarm box. And I remember being like fed up. You know, there are other words I could use, but I was fed up that I never got the call. Almost to the point of annoyance. As I put the key in the alarm box and go to turn it, like you couldn't write a movie script, the phone rings at the back of the shop. I run to the back of the shop, pick up the phone. She goes, hello, it's Jackie. I said, oh, hello. I said, oh, I've been waiting for you to call. Where you been? She goes, oh, I was shopping with my friends.
No, it wasn't.
Well, I'm telling you how I remember it. If you want to change the storyline, you can.
Okay.
See, 30 years is not perfection. Let me tell everybody. Anyway, so I said, yeah, no, I'd love to take you out for that drink. She said, what about tonight? So I can't go out tonight because I'm going to a party, which was an absolute lie. I was just trying to be super cool, not to be too keen. So I said, what are you doing tomorrow night? She said, oh, I said, all right, I'll pick you up. So that was the Saturday. Now you do the Saturday bit with the phone call.
Okay. So the Saturday, I had a flatmate who was also selling Bupa as well. So we had gone out early Saturday morning to do some canvassing for the day, to go and visit small businesses within East London and all around there. So as soon as we got back, I ran up the stairs and the voicemail part on the telephone was flashing. So as soon as I heard Daniel's voice and I called him.
Did you go week at the news?
Did I go? I can't remember, darling. Oh. It's so long ago.
So I love her more than she loves me, obviously.
No, it was at all.
Yeah, go on.
No, go on.
No, yeah, go on. Oh, you've done it. So you hear you hear my answer.
Yeah. So anyway, so I'm really looking forward to going out on the Sunday. Now, what was funny is that we're wearing the same clothes. We're not. So it's a tweed jacket, a shirt, and a pair of jeans. And we went to the Hilton in the West End.
So I took her to the London Hilton Park Lane.
Okay.
And we went to the rooftop bar. I never had a blazer on because I had to. No, I didn't have a jacket on. But what happened was when we go into the bar, the rooftop bar, they said, sorry, sir, you had to wear a jacket. So I said, I haven't got one. So didn't they bring a jacket? Oh no, was it a tie?
A tie.
No, sorry, take that back, edit that bit out. So I had a jacket on, but I never had a tie on. So the guy lent me a tie. So we sit by a seat by the window overlooking the whole of London. It was like a Hollywood movie. We had a cocktail each, which was a small fortune, may I say. And we just looked into each other's eyes. I think we held hands. And we must have talked about anything and everything. And then on the way down, once we'd had our drink, we come down in the lift. And I remember kissing Jackie on the cheek, not on the lips, on the side of the cheek. And that was the beginning. And the following night we went for the Chinese? Or was it the following week?
I think it's the following week.
Yeah, and then the second day we went for a Chinese restaurant in like a little country pub thing, which was lovely. And I've let Jackie tell you about that night. So that was the beginning.
Yeah. No, it's lovely.
The A-bridge with the dance, with the music, with the piano. Do you want to tell that bit?
Yeah, no, the piano player, and he played, was it 3 Times a Lady?
3 Times a Lady, Lionel Richie. And you gave him your last £5 note, you said, didn't you?
Yes.
To play the song.
Yeah.
She went up to him and whispered in his ear. And there wasn't many, there was virtually no one in the restaurant. We got up and we danced. We danced arm in arm.
Yeah, absolutely. Then 3 months later, he moves in with 2 black plastic bags.
With the clothes, yeah. So we very quickly, we fell madly in love. And I never moved in exactly, but in the modern world, you know how it is. I used to stay and then stay the night, and then eventually I did move in. Jackie had an apartment that she was sharing, and I moved in, and it was the beginning of a beautiful friendship. And we had a little dog. Jackie had a dog at the time who became our dog. He was a lovely dog. I'd never really had a dog before, so it all sort of fell into place lovely very quickly. We both had bad relationships prior to that, and I don't think there's any need to go into that really, other than we both had a period of time where we were with somebody for, well, in my case it was nearly 2.5 years,
18 months.
So very, very similar stories where the person that we were with was totally wrong, which I realised very quickly, but took me 1.5 years to get out of the relationship. And Jackie?
Yeah, I mean, basically, it was 18 months. So
yeah. So I think at the age, I was 33, Jackie was 28. And I think at that point, being a man of the world, I'd been around a bit. No, not really. No, I think you come to a point where you sort of know what you're looking for. You have a realization. And when you meet people, even now, you know that, you meet people and you think, yeah, I agree with that person, or someone really rubs you up the wrong way. And I think at that point at 33, and I don't know about Jackie, I'm speaking for myself, I sort of knew what I was looking for.
No, I wasn't looking for anything, because I come out of a horrible relationship, and I was quite happy just
so you could have met anybody.
Avoiding relationships. Oh, I wasn't looking for a relationship.
Oh, but you were
That's
looking,
what I'm
you
saying.
were looking for me then.
Well, you were there, and it just happened.
Yeah.
No, in terms of actually, you're my soulmate, because we're from different religions, not as though either of us are very religious, but in actual coming together in another, if you were at a nightclub or something like that, or on a dating site of these days, we just wouldn't have come together. So, Daniel's Jewish and I'm a Catholic, and it just, wouldn't have come together as normal. And you would have thought, how do I fit within Daniel's world? Well, very easy, because his family are so easy to get on with. It was mine that had the, what do you call it? The
preconceived ideas.
Yeah. That made the comments about the religious side. So I was really amazed about that. But there you go. But everybody, down the road, We just fit like gloves.
That is very impressive. Like, I don't think many people like have such a whirlwind experience nowadays, but it just shows that anything can happen, that your paths can cross with your soulmate if you do have, like, if
you can meet someone at a bus stop. You can there's no rhyme or reason for meeting somebody or falling in love or connecting with somebody. That doesn't have to be in a romantic situation. It can be in any, and as I say, our stories, this was a purely business situation where Jackie had come to sell a product and we were there to buy, and she had the choice of me and my brother.
I chose the good one. He's on time.
So like, what attracted you to each other, like, in that?
You go first.
He's a very good looking man. He still is for his age. Had some hair.
I was thinking of wearing a hat.
It was just, you look at somebody and you think, oh my God, you are my soulmate. And as the years have gone on, he's my rock, absolute rock. When you're down, you need that person.
Oh, don't cry.
Okay. Sorry, I'm a very emotional.
We've got a lot of questions to go through. Save the crying for later. Save the crying for later. Now, from my point of view, I just thought she was gorgeous, and obviously that was my perception. But as you can see, she's an attractive lady to anyone.
For my age.
And our friends make fun of us because in those that first year, we would go out for dinner and we'd be like this at the table, kissing and my friends are like, for God's sake, stop it. Now we're just like,
we'll sit at the other end of the table.
But but we were madly in love.
Oh, totally.
As in love that they could be. We were.
Yeah.
And we are still, but in a different phase of love.
Yeah.
As older people will tell you, and older beyond us, love goes in phases, which we might talk about later. This is the thoughts I have, and love remains constant but changes, or has different faces. That's a good way of putting it. Love has different faces, and you start off with one part of love, and then it transcends to another part, and then if you're lucky enough that you stay in love and you stay happy and you stay together, it becomes second nature. And I think when you see the very old people that have been married 50, 60 years and they say, when my partner passes away, it's like my right arm being cut off. After coming up to 30 years, I finally get to that point where I do believe I can understand that fully.
Yeah.
Whereas maybe if you'd have asked me 15 years ago, I didn't really get that, that, all right, you're going to miss somebody. But you become so intertwined as a pairing that you just on one level you feel nothing can separate you, and the other thing is you just can't imagine being without the person, and that doesn't mean that they don't aggravate you or annoy you or cause you stress. And you want to kill them sometimes, but at the back of it all is this constant solidity of love which holds you together, and we'll come on to how that develops maybe as you ask questions, but that's that. Yeah.
Yes, I would totally agree with you. No, I mean, just going back to our thoughts my thoughts when I first met Daniel, it was just like, I know it sounds stupid, but it had a halo as he walked through the door of his mum.
No, you had the halo.
No, you had the halo.
You did. You were like Doris Day. It was like a mist. Those 1950s films when they had like Audrey Hepburn and they had the love, and it was like they put that misty thing over the camera. But since then I've had my eyes done, so it's okay.
So have I. But no, I mean, it was just love at first sight. It really was, and I don't know. It's just and ever since then, we have our where you think, oh God, he's really doing my head in today. Especially when the female gets to the menopause stage. How he's not killed me, but there are challenges, throughout life and throughout your working and living and home life and stuff like that. I mean, these days we hardly see each other, but we communicate, and that's the biggest thing, communicating throughout your marriage, not bottling it up, because he knows when I'm bottling things up. And when he has his moments, we just stay out of each other's way, until we're ready to talk it through.
Cool. So like, as you guys were saying, you've been together for 28 years now, well, married 28 years. What kinds of obstacles did you guys have to overcome in those 28 years to keep the relationship kind of still going and still burning?
I think, sorry, I always seem to talk first, and then you can. Yeah. I think the relationship was always there. For whatever reason, de facto point of view, and you will use the word love for want of a better expression, was always there at the base. And then what happens is, as you go through life, whether you're single, married, or whatever, things happen. As you well know, things happen. Now, in our case, we had a situation where I had a very flourishing business, and then unfortunately, for different reasons, the business came towards its end and lost a lot of money. But in that scenario, I'm just giving this was an actual thing that happened when we had to sell our house to clear bank debts, which is not a secret. And instead of my wife at the time getting all emotional and panicky, oh, what are we going to do? How are we going to live? She actually sat across the table like we're sitting on there, and she just said to me, okay, if that's what we've got to do, let's do it and let's move forward. And suddenly I saw my wife. She said I'm her rock. At that point, she was my rock. And because at the time I was going through hell and back with my business, it was stressing me out. Looking back in it, I was like, I feel probably I was close to a nervous breakdown without realising it. But at the time, that fact that she said, well, let's move forward and do, because Jackie come from a much tougher background, I'll say, whereas my background was all very easy peasy, very loving. Everything was there put on a plate for me, really. Not which didn't make me any less of a man, but it was never really tough for me. Life was never really tough. So when this was my first real serious obstacle in my life, the person that I was with, Jackie, was so solid for me that I just was, she went up. Not that I didn't love her. If I loved her 100%, she became 1,000%, because she gave me everything I needed at that point in my life, in our life, for us to move forward. And moving forward from that scenario, I certainly became a happier person. I found myself. I changed completely, I feel. And then we got a beautiful son, who I'll introduce the conversation. And he is a young man who is on the autistic spectrum, but mildly autistic, special needs, learning disability. But he's with it. He walks, talks, hears, but nothing wrong with him, but he's just younger for his age. So he's been a challenge, and that occurred when he was about 6. And everything in life, Dionne, whatever you do, gives you you've got to look on both sides of the coin. So on the side of the coin with our son, special needs, learning disability, but actually what on the other side of the coin is a beautiful person. He teaches you a lot about yourself, and it's made, once again, it's made our relationship stronger. He is really the glue that holds us together in so many ways, and he's still part of our life. He's 26 now, but he's still part of our life, still lives at home with us, but he's at the point of probably, once COVID situation moves on, he will be moving on to his own place. And then our marriage will go into another relationship, another change. But I always say with our little unit, which is a small unit, husband, wife and son, we're 3 independent people. I mean, you're going to ask some more questions later, which will come towards what I'm saying. We're 3 individual people who live our lives, and we were all sort of brought together, and I'm not religious, but I do sort of firmly believe that we were all brought together for a reason, for each other, and it works great. Over to you, my wife. You're crying again.
No, really.
Oh, for God's sake.
I need a box of tissues.
Yeah. She's cost me a fortune in tissues. God's sake.
You probably think we've got a strange sense of humour between each other, but we laugh at each other, and that's the main thing. No, just going back to when Daniel's business closed, it was tough, very tough. And trying to, when he says he was near a breakdown, I think he was actually going through a breakdown, because there were times where I'd come home from work and he was on the settee, which isn't like Daniel. He's always moving and doing things for other people and for the family and that. So it was very tough. And also losing our home as well. However, in losing our home, because we'd built up a lot of equity in it, it allowed to pay off the banks and the VAT man. But it gave us a new release of life, because we hadn't had money to go on holiday as such, or to buy nice things. And all of a sudden, where we are, we rent, and we were only going to be here for 6 months. We've been here nearly 14 years, because we've got the security. Oh, and also we were burgled 6 months before we sold the house as well. So from a security side, I just wanted to get out of the house anyway, really. And we booked our holiday once all the money had come through for the house, paid off all the debts. We were debt-free for the first time forever. And Daniel bought me a gold bracelet. And he was never able to do that before. And that bracelet is so special and precious to me. It means the world.
Oh, she's crying.
That's so sentimental.
No wonder I go to work 5 days a week.
No, but
Yeah.
you're an
Can I just
emotional
say,
person.
the gold bracelet wasn't a fortune, but it was
it was
the ability that we'd been freed.
Yeah.
We were like shackled by this business, by this constant debt. And I'm sure people can relate to this, where whatever money you had was just going out the window. And so technically we're certainly equity. Well, we have no equity, so we rent. But actually, do you know what? Money's meaningless. It really is meaningless. As long as you've got enough to get you through week to week and to live.
And to have nice holidays.
And to have holidays if you can. We live in the West, it's part of how we all live. We live totally different to how people live in other parts of the world. And we've got to say thank God for that. We're very lucky people, all of us, whatever level we're at. We live in a society where you can be cared for. Not perfect, we know that, but we're very lucky people. So we work hard. Both of us work really hard. We're exhausted on weekends when we have our days off. But our life certainly took a turn, and I think for the better. And certainly emotionally, spiritually, we flew after that. We actually flew.
Yeah.
But not in any sense of financially. I think we're both very similar in that respect, where money doesn't bind us. Money does not bind us. Money can be quite I won't say evil, but it can be quite a false hope for people. It gives people false ideas. I want a bigger house. I want to stay in a better hotel. I want to go to a nicer restaurant. But actually, you don't need any of it. You can do all the same things on a smaller scale. It's like you go to Waitrose or Marks and Spencer's and buy really good food. It's the same principle. You go to Aldi or Lidl, and actually, there's no real difference. The truth be told, certain things, you say, oh, it's much better than food at Marks, and it is. But the truth is, really, when you bottle it, nail it all down, there's no difference. You still eat.
You're absolutely right. But getting back on track, so that was tough. That was hard, but we got through it, and then we come out the other end. And as I say, it was like having a weight lifted off you, and it just brings you all together, especially as the unit that we're in, because Jack is independent but still relies on us.
And he's on the mild end, but it takes a lot of energy. Yeah. Mental.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, going through the school ages with him, he went to special needs school. And we had a lot of challenges there, even with the special needs school. But he just takes a little time to get into a new situation, and then he just blossoms, but I mean, we had some times where he jumped over a chair and fell into a concrete playground and it smashed his knee up. So we both got called from work and had to spend a week in hospital with him. One stayed with him, and you slept the nights with him, didn't you? And then I did the days with him, you know. So, and then he got his finger chopped off with a child at school.
Oh,
you know, so you know, as all parents go through their challenges with their children.
Yeah, but this is like obstacles, isn't it? This is all obstacles. So, but the thing about obstacles is, if you come through obstacles on a general thing for your audience, Dionne. Now, if you come through an obstacle, it challenges you. You rise to the challenge. Sometimes you meet the challenge. Sometimes you might not meet the challenge. But either which way, it's just part of your learning journey, part of life cycle, and you get on with it and you move forwards. Never let anything hold you back. Never let anything destroy you.
Right. You see, I see it as a toolbox, and we've got a lot of tools in our box. We've got the foundation.
I told you not to talk about that.
All right, then. But in our toolbox,
don't talk about my tool. edit that bit out. Yeah, go on, carry on.
In our toolbox, we've got a lot of experience. And also, I mean, my parents, it wasn't tough, but it was tough love, so to speak. They could provide me with food, a roof over my head, but they didn't have the money in those days. And said to me, well, if you want something other than what we can provide you, you have to go out and get it. And that's what I did at the age of 14. I just started little part-time jobs and stuff like that. And if I wanted a pair of boots in the 70s, you know, I would go out there and basically do the work for it. So I've always been an independent person, but when I met Daniel, it was we joined together as one. And then when Jack came along, he came in and he was our third join. So when I say a toolbox, there's compassion in there, there's love in there, there is being able to survive and having the problem solving solutions in life. You know, you can't solve everything, but there are always two solutions to one issue. And I was taught that by my grandmother, who said, you know, when you've got a problem there, you've got two solutions.
Yeah.
And that's entirely up to you how you choose that solution.
You want to sing a song now?
I don't
know. Are the world. We are the children.
But
it's kind of like that choose your hard kind of thing, isn't it? Like there's always going to be something that you need to overcome. Even if you pick one specific thing, there's always going to be something hard about it. If you pick to just hide your head in the sand, that's going to be a hard situation.
Absolutely.
If you choose to be active and proactive about it, that's also going to take discipline, hard work kind of thing. So there's always going to be something. But yeah, like it's good to know that you can go through things and still have the tools, learning tools. I think hard work gives you the tools as well to move forward in life. So what kind of we've spoken about overcoming. Now let's go to expectations of marriage. What do you guys think about, what did you have of your expectations before you guys got married? What kind of expectations?
May I go first?
Yes, you may go first.
As you can see, that's still, so my expectation of marriage, but what I'm about to say, I don't need to cry, Dionne, because it's very, but this is true, what I'm about to say. So I come from a very loving family. There were screams and shouts between mum and dad at certain points of their marriage. My dad unfortunately passed away when he was young. But my expectation of marriage was there was never any thought that I'd get married and possibly get divorced or that the marriage would be hard or that it would fail. I only went into the marriage thinking this is my partner for life. And I remember saying to Jackie, and I remember saying it, I said, I've got so much love to give. It's like a waterfall where the water keeps going over the top. I will always give you love. And that was my expectation. She's crying. Go. What was your expectation?
Well, I saw you as a strong man in terms of, you know, he didn't smoke, he didn't drink,
Thanks, mate.
Which all my family do. And I just saw him as somebody that had a lot of love to give, was kind, but yet strong with it as well. And my expectation of the marriage was just basically to have that, I don't know, someone that had my back, that would be my best friend, that I could trust. Loyalty. I mean, that's what
loyalty is very big in Jackie's world. Loyalty is very important to Jackie. There's been times when I've sort of not been disloyal, but I might have compromised saying that she said to me, to a friend, and she would like to kill me, absolutely kill me, but she doesn't. She just said, "Why did you tell them? What's I got? Why?" Because I, unfortunately, as you know, Dionne, you've met me now a few times. I talk.
Don't tell him any secrets. It'll be the news of the world at the weekend. Oh dear.
Oh god.
But so my expectations was, and it has. I mean, he's very loyal and trustworthy, and he's always got my back. You know, I mean, unfortunately, you are going through a horrible illness, and you know, I wish you better, but it probably won't get better. But I've had a few times where I've been ill with pneumonia. Nothing, you know, life-threatening, but
apart from the fact you're in hospital for 3 days.
Yes. But he drove to our friend who's a pharmacist.
Yeah, that was good stuff.
On a Friday, when I was really, really ill with pneumonia. This is going back 4 years ago. And he drove, was it 78 miles? 150
The story
miles?
was, I phoned her up, she says, I feel terrible. I said, what do you feel? She goes, I feel really bad. So I said, she gave me her condition, like her.
Symptoms.
So I've got this friend who really should have been a doctor, but he when he was studying, he messed about and he diverted to become a pharmacist. Okay. But he's like a very clever guy. So I told him all these things and he gave me this antibiotic. Okay. So, and he was up in like towards the Midlands, up Cambridge way. So I drove about an hour and a half, picked up this antibiotic, brought it back on the Friday night, which she took immediately. That whole weekend, she just laid in bed ill. She didn't want to go to the hospital because she didn't want to be admitted on the weekend because you don't see anyone in hospital. She knew that. So on the Monday morning, we go to the doctor and she goes in. She was a little bit better. She'd had like 2 days of this antibiotic.
And he says, straight to hospital.
The doctor goes, right, I want you to go now straight to A&E. I've got a letter.
So I bypassed everybody and then
we went in the bed. Went into hospital. The doctor says it all. He goes, I'd like to keep you in. He did blood tests or whatever, you know, the usual. And he said, I'd like to keep you in. She goes, well, I don't really want to go in. So he said, well, he says, look, he says, if I let you go home, I'll give you this antibiotic. Because we never told him that we had this antibiotic. We didn't say. So he says, but if you get worse, you've got to promise me you come straight back. So she said, all right. So he gives us his antibiotic. It was exactly the same as my friend had given her. So she comes home and she basically slept for a week. She had pneumonia.
But anyway, the point was that he looked after me. So he was very good, very good.
Yeah.
So it's trust and loyalty and somebody that's got your back.
So can I tell you a story about how she looked after me? So when we first got married before Jack, we went to, as I said, we had a bit more money in them days at the beginning. We went on a wonderful holiday to Antigua, right? So, whenever I've been away, I don't really get ill, thank God. But on this, I must have caught a bug and I was ill. But there were these people from Liverpool, you know what Liverpool people are like, very funny comedians. And one of the girls was a nurse and she brought with all manner of stuff with her. So I was ill in bed. I couldn't go out onto the beach or by the pool. I was just so ill. I had the curtains closed. I was in bed. And Jackie comes up with this. The nurse had given her these penicillin tablets, which I took. Anyway, then she left me. She was gone all day. Then in the night, she come back. She got dressed up, went out. And then she was gone the second 3 days. Anyway, I eventually sort of come to her. I said, where have you been? She goes, she was out having fun. There was this gay guy from America that she teamed up with, and they were going out every day. So when I come down, he goes, oh, hi, nice to meet you. He says, I heard a lot about you. As you can see, she had my back as well. Not.
I fed you.
She fed me. She fed me and gave me the tablets.
Yeah. I had a brilliant time. I went sailing, I went partying. It was excellent.
She was young then.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, so that was that. Yeah, so yeah, expectations are met. Yeah.
Yeah.
The floor is yours.
Awesome. It sounds like you guys have been through like all different stages of life kind of thing in the last 28 years. If you had to pick one situation, what advice would you give to someone who's currently going through the similar situation? You can pick anything that you guys.
Well, without being specific, I would say to anybody who's going through any kind of situation is that anybody watching this who's just starting out, be assured things will not go smooth. Be assured that things will go wrong. Be assured that you will hate your partner. Be assured that somebody will make some errors along the way. But if you truly love the person, you really care, you just go be dogged. You just keep going. You keep being strong. You keep going for it. You've got to hold a true course, like being on a ship. The wind blows you one way. Just keep going. Just keep going. Never give in. And you don't have to be a strong-willed person. But in saying all of that, and this is for other people that might see this, you've got to truly love the person. You've got to truly, truly love the person, because if you don't love the person, and we both came from relationships that didn't work. Now, in my case, I truly believe that it's different in many ways. But if you really love the person, as you can see, I really love my wife. You just keep going strong, and don't let anything faze you. Don't let any other people interfere. Family, but at the same time, you've got to be respectful. Going back to the, we never really spoke about in-laws, but you've got to be respectful to, because when you marry a person, you do not just marry the person, you marry the family. Unless you choose to just go and live in Australia, go to the other side of the world where it doesn't matter. But you do really marry the family. Jackie's family doesn't live in London. My family live close by. So you don't have to be constantly in their pocket, but you have to be.
No, your family aren't. They're not smothering.
No, we're not intrusive. No.
If I need to speak to my sister-in-laws, I'll pick up the phone. They're not in my face. And my mother-in-law's the same. I mean, she has supported us throughout, helping out with Jack when I was at work and stuff like that. So they're not in our face at all. But from my perspective is that you need to talk. I mean, we've been, all of the world, and especially the UK, been through lockdown, and there's a lot of mental health out there that people are really suffering. And it's been hard because I've been working from home. I lost my job. We both lost our jobs at the same time back in August, and and we started new jobs again the following Monday. We lost it on the Friday. My company closed down and they sold off the building. I mean, I was fortunate enough because I'm well known in my industry, and I got offered 3 positions to start on the Monday. But both of us, we talk, and it's about communication. And it's very easy to say, oh yeah, talking, I can't talk to my partner. That are not necessarily my opinion, or he smothers me or whatever, but it's having a mutual, agreement and communication with each other. If you don't like something, you say it, but you don't say it in a critical way. It has to be, let's talk through this and see where we are. I mean, we don't argue in terms of screaming and shouting at each other.
Never.
We've got friends that absolutely scream and shout and throw and everything else. I mean, they're strong in their marriage, but we don't, because we sit down and talk about it.
We got another couple that got married exactly the same time with us, also got 1 child, and they're still married and very, very happy. But their relationship is totally different to ours. So when we all first got together, like you have another couple you team up with. And this couple, we were going down to Brighton, and they were screaming at each other in the car, this other couple. And he pulled over, my friend. He said, right, can you 2 get out the car? So we got out the car. They had this massive row.
The car's going like this.
And then he opens the window and goes, right, you can get back in there. But their relationship is like that.
Yeah.
They have murders.
Yeah.
So who's right? Our relationship isn't perfect. The way we do it doesn't mean anything for anybody else. But and their relationship, where there's lots of you know,
they need that emotional,
yeah.
you know,
So
screaming and shouting.
Yeah, everyone has to find their own way, but the premise of what I said, if I think deeply about it, is that whatever comes your way, if you really love each other, you work through it together and you stay the course and you stay strong. It's the easiest thing to walk away. It's the easiest thing to walk away. But there's one proviso, that you really love the person. Because if you don't love the person, then there's absolutely no point being in the relationship.
Okay.
And what is love? That
Yeah,
is the key.
that was exactly what I was going to ask you. So what would you guys define love as then?
My God.
I'll start and then you. Am I dominating?
Yes, go on.
So love, what is love? Love is magical, love is special, love is spiritual, love is something that's an unknown quantity. You can't define it, because if you could define it, you could say to a person, if you do this, this and this, you are going to be happy, right? So you got that side of love where it's harmonious, it's special, it's caring, it's kind, and it's a mystical feeling. So when I said to you, I saw this beautiful girl, that was in my eyes. Somebody else would have thought, yeah, she's all right, but nothing special, you know. And then on the other side of that, love moves in different direction and changes over the years, and I'm sure it's going to change again for us in the next 20 years, please God. And you do see little old couples that walk together arm in arm, and you think, oh, how sweet and how lovely. You have no concept of what they've gone through to get to that point. And I think love is just everything. Without love, you've got nothing. Without love, you've got nothing. And that is love for your partner, love for your mother, love for your family, love for the world. You know, I think love is the whole key about everything. And that's what the problem is with the world at the moment. There's not enough love goes around. There's a lot of nastiness. There's a lot of people with tensions and a lot of stresses that really, if people just had that little moment to stop and think, you know, I care, I love that person. You know, love is, it's an unknown quantity, but it is about being together. It's about being kind.
I think it's really hard, love. It's challenging. You have to work at it. You have to nurture it. You know, it isn't all woolly all the time. It's nice when you first meet and it's, you know, it's all fresh and everything. But as the years go on, you get downtrodden.
Not by your partner.
No, but
life.
by life. But it's having a strong partner that keeps you, you know, on the road and that you work it through together. So I don't see it through rosy spectacles anymore. You know, it's something that you have to work really hard at.
Funnily enough, I do see love through spectacles. I still think love is beautiful.
Oh no, that's why I love you.
Amazing. With in-laws, we've spoken a little bit about family and having people coming into your relationships and stuff. But how did you guys, like, well, we know how Jackie met your mum and your brother, but how did you guys introduce each other to Jackie's side? How were you introduced to Jackie's Danny?
I met Jackie's mum. When did I meet your mum, first of all? I think we had a party.
Was it Julie's?
No, I think we had a party or something. Your mum came and I met the mum. Oh, yeah, you're right. We went up to see Jackie's family. Jackie's very close to her sister, and we went up to see her sister. Stayed overnight.
Go on then, tell
Dionne
the comments you made.
And her mum said, let's see how long you last. But we won't go there because her mum's another situation. But her mum's a good woman. Nothing wrong with her at all. But, you know, everyone has a life story.
Leave too much on the table. Sorry, broke the last table by leaning on it. That's a story in itself. But anyway,
never really,
yeah, I mean,
really
my parents separated. So they got married very young. She had me at 18 and my dad was 22. So they were separated. But they've always been country bumpkins. So, you know, not really out of their area. So they're not worldly. So, you know, so I didn't really see an awful lot of them. And then my father died about 15 years ago. But we're close with my sister and my brother-in-law. So, yeah, you know, they've got a place in Spain and they invited us out. So we go out to there And the kids all pretty much the same age as Jack.
But coming back to us as a couple, we're not overly. We don't need to be around loads of people. We got loads of friends, but we don't need to be in each other's pockets with other people. So I got friends as every weekend comes, they got to be with other friends. Whereas for us, we really don't need to be with anybody. We're just happy, the two of us, which is a good thing, I suppose. But it's nice to interact with people, but we're not desperate for the need of other people to. Like, we can go out and sit in a restaurant, just the two of us.
Or go away for long weekends. We don't have to go on holiday with other people.
Never been on holiday with
some friends won't go on holiday without other people.
We find that strange.
Yeah, so we like our own company. And also we work hard as well. So it's just nice to have that downtime and, go for walks. And
yeah, maybe because we're at it all the time that we never really in each other's company, that when we do have time, we like to be with each other.
Yeah.
It's nice sitting here this morning with you, Jack, I must say.
Yes, and you, Dad.
Very cute. And what have you learned in marriage? We're coming towards the end of the podcast, but what do you guys think you've learned in the last? Actually, let's start with.
Well, I've learned to let my wife go first.
So let me ask you a different question first.
Yeah, go on then.
Let me ask you, what were you expecting before you got married, and now that you've been married 28 years, what have you learned from it? So from beginning, what you thought it would be like and what it is now.
I had no perceived ideas of what marriage was going to be with Daniel, apart from what type of person I was looking for in him. Not so much the outside, it was the inside that I was looking for. And again, it comes back to that trust and loyalty and stuff like that, because I was previously married for a short time.
What?
And that person just basically ripped me off left, right and centre. And that's why I've got the trust and the loyalty thing. And also had affairs with the secretary. And
that's the former husband,
that's
not
my
me.
former husband. So in terms of what I've expected from it, and where we are at the moment, is again, we are friends, and I know that I can trust him and he'll look after me, but also give me that space. I can't be smothered. I make my own decisions, but I also share those decisions. I mean, he's come home many years ago when we had the house, and I just bought a new settee without consulting him. He hated it.
I said, what the is this? I said, it's awful. And I got my own back 25 years later because the settee we got now I picked.
Yeah. So, but no, you didn't know I was choosing a settee.
No, so this comes back, though. I know we're coming to the end of the podcast, but this comes back to about what love is. Now, for us,
really love.
No, because it is important. This is what this is about. It's a love podcast.
Yeah, but I'm saying, how I've changed from when I first met you to where I am at the moment. You've got to be less selfish and share, because you're not the only person in that marriage. It is a family unit now, but I wasn't used to sharing, and I found that incredibly hard. That I had to share, not monetary things, but I'm talking about decisions that you make in life.
Oh, you're not talking about the little chocolate, the jelly babes that you hide in the cupboard from me, or the chocolate that you put in the cupboard because you don't know else to have it. Secret squirrel.
I had to do that as a kid. I shared with my sister, and I hid fruit and chocolate under the bed.
So she hides, and I come home and I see like Terry's all gold. I said, where's this? She goes, oh, it's my secret stash. Anyway. Oh, dear.
Sorry.
Yeah.
It's all right. Oh, gosh.
Tears of sadness, joy, and laughter, and that's marriage for you.
So good.
Okay. So what was that? What was that last question? Because I didn't get to answer it. What was the last question?
It's before you got married, what
That's right.
expectations did you have, and now?
I didn't have expectations before I got married other than to be happy. Then once I got married, it was brilliant. I loved every minute of it. And then life batters you down a bit, and then love takes a different guise. And now at the end of 30 years to when I started, now I've got well, I think both of us are at the point we never look backwards. So we don't even look to compare what was and what is. I'm now only thinking about what I'm going to do this afternoon. I'm very aware, because of the job I'm doing, Dionne, how time is unbelievably short. You've got to really enjoy every moment. Life moves very quickly. And I said to you, my son's 26. I mean, he went to, it's like if you people are watching this have got kids, their kids are in the first bit of school, and suddenly they're in secondary school, and suddenly they're 17 and secondary school comes to an end. What they do now, go to college 3 years, boom, they're out in the big wide world, and suddenly they're an adult. And that's us. We were 30 odd, we got married. It was all fun. We were young, we were slim, we were good looking, I had hair. and then suddenly, 30 years later, your children are now who you were. You're now like your mum and dad was when you got married. And then your mums and dads, if they're still alive, they're old people. And the next phase is the next 20 years going forwards. And that's why you've got to suck in every good moment and only worry about good things and happiness. Don't get dragged down by negative stuff, by money problems, by anything, by negative people. Don't let negative, especially in the world, we're not in social media at all. This is the first thing we've ever done like this. So we would probably don't ever do anything like this again, I don't think, but you never know. But social media, when you hear about people being like footballers with the racism issue, with the sexism issue, with transgender and all this sort of stuff, people read stuff, negative comments, and gives them mental. Do you know what? Live a simple life. Don't listen to what people say. Don't listen to negativity. Just look after yourself. Be caring. Attract the people that you like. The people that are negative or you don't like. You don't have to say I don't want to talk to you. You just keep them out of your life. Keep them out of your life.
Very cool. Very cool. Okay, guys, this is towards the end of the episode now, and the last question is, what have you learned about being open, vulnerable, and empathetic in your marriage?
You go first.
I'll come back, and I know I'm a secret squirrel, but it's actually talking and sharing my emotions with Daniel. You know, if I'm scared about something or I'm hurting inside, it's actually talking that through and learning how to talk that through with another person, because I do build barriers between people, and that's hard. It's hard to be able to talk about how you feel.
Yeah.
I'm laughing. She's gonna cry.
No, it's fine. It's
taking the mickey out.
Laughter. That's the key.
Yes, laughter. But yeah, it is. I can't remember what.
No, it's good to be vulnerable. It's good to show empathy. It's just every aspect of all religions of the world, and I'm not religious at all. If we just really do the good things, care about your fellow man, be vulnerable. Don't be afraid to say I'm nervous, I'm scared. Don't be afraid to tell the truth,
yeah, but it's very difficult when you've gone down a spiral, and to get back up that spiral. You know, they say, right, talk and communicate. Sometimes you can't, because you get too far down. But it needs a strong partner to be able to bring you back up. I mean, I do suffer sometimes with dark moments, but Daniel, you know, he's there, and also our son's there as well, and you think about them. But it is trying to talk it through and trying to, you know, look at the brighter side of life, so to speak. As I say, especially during lockdown, it's been really, really hard, really difficult.
Can I finish with a song?
Oh,
No, not always look on the bright side. You know I can't smile without you. Can't smile. Everyone hands in the air.
Look on the bright side of life.
No, we can do that one as well. Yeah. No, but it's been fantastic. It's wonderful, and it all boils down to one thing: if you meet the right person. And my truth and my experience, we can only tell, but it doesn't hold true for other people. Everyone's got their own story, and everybody's got their own. But I think if you boil down everybody's stories, I think you just got to love the person you're with. Definitely do. Definitely do.
He's like an old jumper I never want to throw away.
There are a few holes as well.
Old dressing gown.
Yeah.
Amazing, guys. Thank you so much for coming onto the podcast and sharing. It's been incredible. And you guys have so much wisdom and so much knowledge. So I'm just so grateful that I had the time to even just spend with you guys and just have some chats and just have time to reflect as well. So yeah, thank you so much for coming on.